We look at it every single day, but we almost never really see it. I'm talking about our calendar. It feels so permanent, right? So unchanging. But what if I told you it's actually a brilliant, centuries-long workaround? A patch, really, designed to fix this fundamental mismatch between how we count time and how the cosmos actually works. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and find out why every 4 years we have to add an entire day just to keep our world from slowly drifting into chaos. Okay, let's just start with a number. This one, 365.2422. It looks kind of weird and messy, doesn't it? Well, that messy number is the entire reason our calendar has to be so clever, because this is how many days it actually takes for the Earth to make one full trip around the sun. That trip is what we call a solar year. And right there, that's the whole problem. The universe, it turns out, just doesn't care about our nice round numbers. That little leftover bit, that 0.2422, it's like a cosmic rounding error that has been bugging some of the smartest people in history for literally thousands of years. So to really get this, we've got to go back, way back. Let's take a look at how the first civilizations tried to wrestle with the sky's imperfect number. The ancient Egyptians, they were incredible astronomers, and they came up with a 365-day calendar, which was a huge leap forward. But by just ignoring that extra quarter of a day each year, their calendars started to drift. Slowly, you wouldn't notice it at first. But fast forward 100 years or so, and your spring festivals are suddenly happening when it feels like the middle of summer. The calendar was literally drifting away from reality. Then you have astronomers in the Hellenistic world. We're talking about those Greek-influenced cultures after Alexander the Great, and they came up with this really elegant fix. They thought, wait a minute, what if we just collect those 4 leftover quarter days? After 4 years, what do you have? You have one whole day. So they said, let's just add that day back into the calendar every 4 years. It was this beautiful mathematical patch, and right there, that's the birth of the leap year. But, a brilliant idea from a scientist is one thing. Getting an entire empire to actually use it, that's something else entirely. That takes power. It takes political muscle. And that's where one of the biggest names in history steps onto the stage. So by the time Julius Caesar was in charge, the Roman calendar was, to put it mildly, a complete disaster. It was so bad and so often manipulated by politicians who wanted to make their terms in office a little longer that it was practically useless for keeping track of anything. The time was definitely ripe for a change. So in 46 BC, Caesar does something truly historic. He listens to the top astronomers from Alexandria, and he just reforms the whole system. He locked in the 365-day year, and this is the big one. He used his absolute authority to make that leap year idea the law of the land. 1 extra day every 4 years. No exceptions. This became the Julian calendar, and for the first time in a long time, it brought order back to time itself. Now, the Julian calendar was a huge success. It was the standard for over 1,500 years. But it had a problem, a tiny, almost invisible flaw. You could call it a long-term glitch in the system. And here is where our little story gets a plot twist. See, the Julian calendar was based on the idea that a year is exactly 365 and a quarter days long, 365.25. But remember our original number? The real solar year is 365.2422. The Julian calendar was actually overcorrecting just a tiny bit. Think of it like a watch that runs fast, but only by a couple of seconds a day. It doesn't seem like a big deal, right? Well, over centuries, those seconds add up to a very, very big problem. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. After about a century and a quarter, the calendar was already off by a full day. By the time you get to the 1500s, it's off by nearly 11 days. This became a massive headache, especially for the church, because the date of Easter is calculated based on the spring equinox. But the real equinox was happening 11 days before the calendar said it was supposed to. Something had to be done. The calendar needed another fix. It needed an upgrade. And this upgrade brings us, finally, to the very system we all use today. So, in 1582, Pope Gregory XIII decides he's going to tackle this 1,500-year-old problem once and for all. He gets a team together, the best astronomers, the best mathematicians of the day, to design a new calendar that would be so accurate it could last for thousands of years. And the solution they came up with was just a 2-part stroke of genius. First, they did something kind of shocking. They just deleted 10 days right out of the calendar to snap it back into sync with the seasons. Seriously, people went to bed on October 4th and woke up the next morning and it was October 15th. But the second part, that was the real magic. A new, much smarter rule for leap years to make sure that drift would never happen again. Okay, so here's the old rule right next to the new one. The new Gregorian rule starts the same. You still add a leap day every 4 years. But, and this is the game changer, there's a big unless. You do it every 4 years unless the year is one of those century years, one that ends in 00. In that case, it is not a leap year. With one more exception. It gets a leap day only if it can be divided by 400. Let's see how this brilliant rule works. Under the old Julian system, the years 1700, 1800, and 1900 would have all been leap years, pushing the calendar a little bit further off track each time. But the new Gregorian rule cleverly skipped the leap day in those years. But then, look at the year 2000. Because 2000 is divisible by 400, the leap day gets put back in. It's this one clever exception that keeps our modern calendar ridiculously accurate. We're talking accurate to within a few seconds a year. So when you zoom out and look at all this, what does it really tell us? Well, this isn't just a fun story about math. It's really a story about time itself. Because here's the thing, even with a better system, people didn't switch over right away. A lot of Protestant countries, for example, were really hesitant to adopt what they saw as a Catholic calendar. It's a great reminder that our calendars aren't just about science. They're woven deep into our politics, our religion, and our culture. I mean, just think about this amazing journey. It starts with the Egyptians, who are just trying to figure out when to plant their crops. Then it gets standardized by a Roman dictator. Then, more than 1,500 years later, it gets fine-tuned by a pope. Every single step was another move on this long quest for perfection, a quest that has now given us the silent, invisible standard that syncs up our entire planet. And this whole journey, it all really boils down to this one powerful idea. We don't just exist inside of time. We have this deep, primal need to organize it, to measure it, to make sense of it. And in that sense, the calendar is truly one of the greatest achievements of human civilization. So the next time February 29th pops up on your phone or on your wall, don't just see it as a weird extra day. Try to see it for what it really is. It's a tiny, brilliant patch on our shared reality. It's a quiet monument to thousands of years of human curiosity and ingenuity, all part of our endless quest to align our little lives with the grand movements of the cosmos. So, what will you think about? Thanks so much for joining this explainer.